But Robert E. Lee and his army had been beaten on that day. And my general could have ended the entire war right there, because, you see, all he had to do was push Lee and his army a little harder. Instead, he waited. He waited for 10 long days, and that allowed Lee to escape back into Virginia. And then my general had the nerve to send me a message. And it said, "Mr. President, I have the honor to announce, sir, that the invaders have been driven from our soil." My God. My God in heaven. What did he think we were fighting for? We were not fighting for northern soil. And we certainly weren't fighting for southern soil. As far as I was concerned, it was all American soil. So on November the 19th, 1863, I was in the city of Gettysburg. I'd been invited by the governor of Pennsylvania to make a few appropriate remarks at the dedication of a cemetery where some of our soldiers were buried. Now understand, I was invited to Gettysburg almost as an afterthought. The politicians didn't want me there. They were afraid I might say something that would embarrass the country. I fooled them and I came anyhow. But I was not the main speaker. They gave that honor to another man. His name was Edward Everett. Mr. Everett was the most famous orator we had in those days. He stood up on the platform. He addressed the crowd that day for 2 hours straight. And it was a crackerjack speech. I liked it. Unfortunately, there's not hardly anyone alive today that can tell you anything he said. I spoke to the people that day a little less than 3 minutes. This is what I said. 87 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now, we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this, but in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate. We cannot consecrate. We cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggle here, have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little know nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us the living, rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather that we be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, and that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, there would be many more bloody battles after Gettysburg. Too many more. Too many mothers were going to lose their sons. Too many wives were going to lose their husbands, and far too many children were going to lose their fathers. And yet the war went on.